I thought I would do an update on my father since I had sent out requests for people to pray for my dad. He was indeed pretty much on death's door as little as 4 or 5 days ago. He had contracted a rhinovirus, which turned into pneumonia, ended up being hospitalized very weak and being treated and wasn't making very much progress in the hospital. So I found a way off trail, which would have been last video that I have posted up at least for a while, and made it here. And as I've come to Ohio, where he's at, he has been trending in a better direction. So his pneumonia is complicated by um, something, I forget exactly the right term, but he had scarring in his lungs from all the years that he spent in dust, which was very much part of being a poultry farmer and hatchryman. He spent lots of years in dust, so he had scarring in his lungs. So when he got pneumonia, just made it much more difficult for him to recover. So the main thing they were worried about is that they had him at one point on the highest dose of oxygen they could give him, and they were having a hard time keeping his blood oxygen levels at the appropriate place. Well, fortunately, that has begun to turn around, and they have lowered his oxygen some. It's still quite high. It's much higher than what you could do on a home oxygen or even in a facility like a nursing home. So yesterday they moved him. No, the day before. Anyway, today is the 20th. So on the 18th, they moved him from a regular critical care bed to a third party unit in the hospital that specializes in kind of step down care. It's kind of a halfway between hospital care and nursing home where they could continue to administer the levels of oxygen that he needed, and but do it on a longer term basis. And they have continued to lower his oxygen. It's still fairly high, but they've lowered his oxygen significantly, and they're weaning him off some of the meds he was on. He remains very weak, um, but it's we don't feel like he's on the precipice anymore. At one point, several days ago, felt like he was just on the precipice, like it could have gone either way. There was talk between putting him on a ventilator or removing oxygen from him because he had a do not resuscitate wish in his medical directive, and so we've pulled back from that. But he remains in need of prayer. He's a plucky man and fights hard, and he's continued to fight. And we're all hoping that they can get him back stronger than he was. Like currently, he can't stand by himself or even completely roll over in bed. He just is too weak. And before he went to the hospital, he was able to dress himself, get out of bed, walk around a little bit. He sometimes needed a walking stick or a walker, but so there's some ongoing needs there. But I appreciate all your prayers and would appreciate continued prayers, especially for us as a family as we continue to make care decisions and know exactly what the next course of action is. At this point, I'm off the trail. And definitely till we get these things figured out, and even then, I'm not sure. So it's an update, you know. I'm reminded of the quote somebody used. I think it might be John Lennon, anyway. Believe it or not, he said, "Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans." So I had other plans for this last week, which would included finishing up New Hampshire in the AT and hiking into Maine. And my friends, the rest of the Medicare gang, are doing just that. Um, but this is where I need to be. I need to be with my family and with my dad. And it was good because I've had some time to sit and talk with my dad and say, I think I've said these things before, but just to have discussions that we need to have, or talk about things, or remember good memories and tell them how much I love them. And so it's been a good time. So I'm going to drop this up, and it's an update for all those of you watching my channel and been praying for my dad. Thank you so much for your prayers, and we appreciate your continued prayers.